This week, a Delve Keepstar is lost, a Fraternity Titan goes down, the Christmas truce holds, a dread bomb fails, and then a discussion piece from me on where I think this war will be going next. Welcome back. So it's been a quiet week this week, and that's primarily down to the Christmas truce, and I'll come back to that in a second. But really the big news this week was on Wednesday the 23rd, just checking my notes at the exact time, at 2:53 a.m, so in the early hours of Wednesday morning, the Keepstar in NOL went down. So let me just bring up Dotland, go into my box. There's NOL right here. Let me see if I can get it to highlight for you. There we go. So this Keepstar was important as it was the first proper Delve Keepstar to be on its final timer and under attack. So previous Keepstars that have been lost have either been outside of Delve, so in other words period basis or Quirius, or they have been lost to silliness, being unanchored, scooped, all this kind of stuff. So this was the first one to go through all three timers, to go through its shield timer, its armor timer, and then its final timer. And this kind of gives us an idea of what's going to be happening with regards to the other Keepstars that are in Delve. As NOL is kind of a landmark Keepstar. It's been there for a long time apparently, and it was kind of used pretty heavily by Goonswarm. So it was interesting to see what was going to happen. So I've got the kill mail up here, and as you can see, it died at 2:53. What is notable about this is that basically it was at full damage cap the whole way through, so in half an hour. And if we actually look at the kill board down the left-hand side, you will see it's just the usual, complement of Titans and Supers, as everything in US time zone, and all the people in the EU that could stay up for this came along to take a shot at it. I didn't get any footage. It is a little bit late in the night for me. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had work to do. So I will try at some point to try and get you some footage in 4K of this happening. I will stay up late one night for you, as I'm sure that this will happen again on one of the other Keepstars. But on the right hand side of the page, you will see that basically it was not contested. And this kind of gives us an indication of what's going to happen with all the other Keepstars on the Doom Clock. So if I bring up my Doom Clock, here we go. You can see there's a whole bunch of systems. So we've lost HIX at the top here. So I tried to highlight it, but it's a graphic, so I can't do that. So HIX at the top's gone. NOL's now gone. KTAC 6 didn't exist anyway. It got unanchored by mistake. Then we come on to the kind of these ones here, M2, S6, ZXB, and 5TAC-C, which if you remember last week is this green section down the bottom here, which is Pandemic Horde. Then we've got the one in DTAC-W, which is right here. Now these, I expect the same thing will happen, that they will not be contested. The reason why, they don't hold any value at this point. They serve no purpose in terms of the strategic war. The only one that really matters is this one up here in 1TAC-S. Now it was pretty far down in the Doom Clock. You can see it's all the way down the bottom here. NC Dot has the iHub for this one. And if we actually look at the defense multipliers, you'll see that NC Dot have now made that their capital system. Previously it was null to keep the ADM up high there. Now they don't have to worry about that because the Keepstar null is gone. They've moved their focus to 1TAC SMNB. Now the reason why this particular Keepstar is important, let me just go back to my hubs, there we go, is that it is the only one that matters in providing a route out of Delve. So if we go to Dotland and we go to range, you will see what I mean. So for example, if we take 1TAC SM, there we go, bring it up, and we choose a Thanatos, so just a standard carry up, a standard capital. And let me see, oh no, hang on, I need to go to range. Let me do that one very quickly. There we go, SMEB, and we want, let's say, we can use a NID, that's fine. They have the same range. You will see that it can reach Canid, so it can get to low sec. So capitals can get to low sec, and more importantly as well is if we go back a little bit further and we put this in again, and this time we go with a jump freighter. So let me find my jump freighters. There we go, an Anshar. And we can go all the way to Core Azor, and we can jump right up to Schmel down here in the bottom left, or to Arzi, and both of these have NPC stations. So you can basically evac all your capitals, and your jump freighters can jump to 2 jumps away from HiSec from one TAC S, and this is the only Keepstar that has that range. And so when this gets into its final time, it will be very interesting, because then this is a time when the Imperium have to make a decision as to whether they want to evac or not. Otherwise, they're going to have to put everything into asset safety in order to get anything out of there. So one TAC S is kind of really, really important. In fact, this whole constellation is, because they could also do it from Fortizars. If they've got Fortizars in this constellation, I believe most of them can reach as well. And if we look at the iHubs at the moment, there's still a couple owned by Condi, but that may change. So really, these kind of areas up here are really, really important for the evac. And if these become in any kind of danger, that will decide whether the Imperium can leave, or Goonswarm in particular, can leave Delve. So that's going to be really interesting as to where that plays out. So moving on, we know that the NOL Keepstar died. We can now expect all other Keepstars, probably except one TAC S, which is a special condition, to go down the same route. Other bits of news, I will just go through the dates anyway. A little bit later in the day, this was around lunchtime UTC, a Leviathan was lost by Fraternity. It looks like it was literally AFK on their Fortizar in ETAC V. ETAC V is down here in Quirius. Fraternity have held a Fortizar there that's been crucial in kind of any attacks on this pipe in Quirius, as well as kind of pushing a little bit into this home pocket of 1DQ. And it died to a bunch of bombers, and I think one dread jumped in as well, managed to get on the kill. But it was primarily in the Russian time zone. Dakaris, which is the Russian side, Russian alliance in the Imperium, got involved in this. And as you can see from these low slots, that you've got national stabs, you've got hyperspatials on it. We've also got a cloak in the high slot. So clearly it was in travel mode. It was going somewhere. It got left on the Fortizar, and I assumed that it got bumped up. So there you go. So once again, we lost another Titan. It's always worth mentioning a Titan loss. And then we had on Friday the 25th. So let me explain the Christmas Truce to you, so you know kind of what's going on with that. So with the Christmas Truce, the whole concept behind it, and it was, I have to say, it was always good to see that the EVE community is very, very good when it comes to understanding that this is a game, and Christmas time, you know, you want to spend it with family, especially this year. You know, even if you're doing it virtually, you want to be able to be there for your family and everything. And so every single side of this war decided to hold to the Christmas Truce. And what the Christmas Truce meant is that no structures or anything that would generate a timer would be attacked in the 2 days prior to Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so that nobody would have to be pulled away from family to meet a timer requirement. And everybody kept to this, and that was really, really good to see. So thank you, EVE, for being such an amazing community. Whilst I'm there as well, if you're watching my videos and you enjoy what I produce, then do please like my videos. You know, feed that YouTube algorithm, subscribe, comment, like, all that kind of good stuff. And then also, just to help me get a little bit more projection out there, do please link me in your Alliance Discord if you think that other people in your Alliance would appreciate my videos. Right, moving on. So the Christmas Truce held, but this didn't mean we couldn't have skirmishes and we couldn't have like sort of fights happening over whaling over raw calls, or skirmishing, or sort of just roams. And in this case, this time round, Imperium tried to do another dread bomb on the T5Z Keepstar, and Erebus did get baited apparently, and but this time it didn't work out in the favor of Goonswarm. If you remember last time, the Imperium managed to kill a Revenant. This time they tried to bait an Erebus. It didn't work out. Everything was able to undock. The Erebus did what it needed to do and deogressed. And I think it was about, there was a bigger one this time. I think it's about 26 or 27. Here we go. 26 dreadnoughts died in the attempted dread bomb. So it was a loss of about 80 billion or so. to 500 million on the PAPI side. So, you win some, you lose some, good effort, but unfortunately this time out it did not work for the Imperium and they didn't get themselves a juicy kill. So we've talked about what's happened during the week. That was basically it, because then after that we had the truce and that held. And so it allows me really to now talk about what happens next. So I need to point out that at this point, I'm not relying on any facts. This is pure conjecture on my part. This is where, from my knowledge of kind of EVE warfare and the strategy of where I think things are going to be going in the next few weeks. And so the main focuses, the points of focus are obviously 1DQ1 right here, okay, which is kind of the staging system of the Imperium and Goonswarm in particular. They've got a whole bunch of Keepstars in there. They've got like loads of faction fortizars. It is defended up to the hilt. And then obviously we have E30 up here, which is supposedly the capital, super capital staging, but also they had this gate camp into RF TAC with the idea of keeping all of this top left area of Delve, the northwest, kind of clear and able to be used for ratting and mining and kind of all the Care Bear stuff. Now, where I think things are going to go is 1DQ is still going to be the main focus, but if I was in the shoes of PAPI, I would try and break into this northwest pocket. And the way that I would try to do this is by using Black Ops and possibly using, if I can get away with just bombers, that would be great, but if not, have to be T3s, is to take either 8R or NID, and that is to basically focus on this constellation. So let me go to my constellation. So this sort of purple one here, and try and flip an iHub in this system. The reason why is it is fairly easy to do. If they can gate camp 39p successfully, so if they can go in, kill the Sinojammer, then be able to reinforce the iHub and do it with a Sinojammer down when they hit the sub-warfare stage, then they just need to keep this kind of gate clear and be able to control that. So I would probably even try and flip 39p so that if anybody jumps in, they have to jump into that system where your fleet would be. And I would try and break into here and try and get a Fortizar anchored in this pocket. Then from there, you have projection. And from that point on, nothing in here is safe, because you can then bridge really quickly, gate really quickly into these other systems. And if the staging is in E3 over on this side, they have to jump through as many gates because the Sinojammers will be up. So it will make things very, very difficult to maintain that kind of Care Bear ratting and whaling situation, mining situation from going on, as fleets will get targeted. Miners and, I'm losing my words now, miners and ratters will be targeted. You see, well, as soon as we get into like the Care Bear stuff, I kind of get a little bit lost with my words. So we'll jump back from there. So that's where I think one of the elements will go. But the main focus is going to be this pink constellation down here in the southwest. Now, obviously, 1DQ needs to be attacked, and the ideal situation is to do that with a Sinojam without any Sinojammer, which means flipping this iHub. And that is not going to be easy. Now, we're not going to have the 35-day situation here because you're not going to be able to stop potentially, the Imperium from having loads of supers and caps in here anyway. And with all their Keepstars and Fortizars sitting on iHubs, they are very well defended anyway. So I think the main thing is going to be trying to get this Sinojammer from not being able to be put up. But to be able to do that means having to flip the iHub. And I think the way they will do it is the way I would approach it is I would not try and flip the 1DQ iHub first, because I need to know that I can actually do this flipping process. So you've got two stages. You've got to reinforce the iHub in the first place, and then you have to have the constellation fight over the sub-warfare throughout this whole constellation. And the issue that you've got is that the way the geography works is it's very, very difficult to do sub-warfare here if you're the attacker. And the reason why is because you've got 1DQ sitting right in the middle. So from the point of view of PAPI, they can get into 3TAC-D and NTAC-8, these two systems, really easily. They can bridge into ETAC-V and then just come up from the south. But in order to get to these other systems, so YTAC-O, 5TAC-B, 8TAC-W, and MTAC-O, they have to go through 1DQ. And then once they're in there, they then have to be able to protect the systems. Now, the way Sov warfare works is you try and get system control, and you try and control as many systems as you can compared to your opponent. So, for example, if you control, this is like a 7 system constellation. So if you control 4 out of the 7 systems and you can stop the enemy from coming in, then any nodes that spawn in those 4 systems that you hold, you then are able to then use those 4 systems to the max. And so if you hold more systems, you're more likely to have more nodes. Now, obviously it's weighted in the sense that if the defender's got a high ADM, then what's going to happen is that they will spawn nodes more often because they are able to clear nodes more often. So they need to hold less systems. So this means that if PAPI want to succeed in Sov warfare, they need to hold realistically 5 out of the 7 systems to be able to win the Sov warfare. Excuse me. So that means holding 3TAC-D, NTAC-8, YTAC-O, 5B, and 8WA. And I've been talking too much and I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to cut. Take a drink and I'll be right back. Much better. Okay, so the other issue that you've got is even if you manage to get into 1D, past 1DQ, and hold these 3 systems down here on the bottom left, you then have to get your fleet back, which means that even if you manage to secure the Sov, and kill the iHub, you have to then get your fleet back through 1DQ. And you're going to have 2 massive gate camps, and it's going to be literally hell to get them back. So this is going to be really problematic, but if PAPI manage to flip an iHub in any one of these systems, then they know they can do it from 1DQ. And at that point, things change, especially if they flip an iHub in YTAC-O or in 5B TAC. If they can do that and win the Sov warfare in this constellation, not only can they know they can win the Sov warfare, but they can do it better next time, because they will have the opportunity now, there's no longer a Sinojammer, to be able to drop a Fortizar in 5B TAC or YTAC-O, so that they can then use that as an extraction point for when they complete any kind of Sov warfare. Then at that point, that's when you attack the iHub in 1DQ, because then you can win the Sov warfare, so you can go in, and I would do it, for example, Damnations and Apostles, just gate them through into 1DQ, get on that iHub, and have them tank their Entosis ships whilst everything attacks them. And then hopefully, they'll be able to then flip the iHub in 1DQ. I think that's where the main focus has to be. This has to be broken, and it has to be really done in the next few weeks. Obviously, there's a whole thing of cores and Keepstars. I think they'll only put a core in the 1TAC SM EB Keepstar and the ones in 1DQ and E3O, and they will leave the rest. As I said, those are the 3 most important ones. So there you go. So that's where I think things are going to go. I think we're going to get some really intricate Sov warfare going on, and really testing the abilities of the Imperium to protect the Sov of this constellation, as well as having this whole northwest pocket potentially aggressed. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know where you think this is going to go. You can either post in the comments below, and as you know, if you're familiar with my YouTube videos, I try and reply to all the comments that are made, or you can come into my Discord and speak to me in my Discord. You don't have to tell me anything OPSEC. I don't need that. As you know, I literally can evaluate where things are going from events as they are kind of announced. So interesting times. The war is far from over, but it is getting to a point now where it's kind of getting really, really critical. And I think over the next few weeks, we will get an idea as to whether the Imperium really want to stand their ground or really want to evac. And it will be based around 2 things. It will be based around what happens to that Keepstar in 1TAC-S, and what happens to the constellation in which 1DQ is based in terms of Sov warfare. Right, that's it from me. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that kind of good stuff to feed the YouTube algorithm and help the channel grow. Join the Discord, and see you on the next one. Bye.